Hey everybody, welcome to Fabricated Quilts and Sew Steady's Facebook Live on Sunday. If you're on, if you could let us know if you can hear well and if you can see everything. We'll just make sure that we have a good view and make a quick adjustment here so that you can see. Where we're going to start is we're going to just do a little bit of information about setting up your machine for ruler work itself when you're working on your long arm. If you're working on your domestic, you can do the same designs here. You would want to make sure that you have the appropriate setup for ruler work for your domestic machine. So we're just going to talk about it just for a minute or two and get this foot set up right here, and then we'll do a couple of designs. We probably will not be taking up a full hour and a half today, just because today is Mother's Day. So just to start off, since you can obviously see that my machine drifted a little bit, I'll show you real quick. Let's go back. So if I put that there and I let go, see how my machine is drifting just slightly? That is an indication that my machine is not properly leveled for my long arm. Why is that such a big deal? Why is that important when you're working on a long arm? Imagine that my machine naturally wants to drift towards the back because the level is not accurate. That would mean I'm constantly having to pull it forward, pull it forward, pull it forward in order to sew. It's very fatiguing, and this machine is kind of heavy. So if your setup isn't level, you're always working against yourself. So I recommend that you make sure that your machine does stay in place, nice and stable like this is right now. So obviously my machine, I think on that back corner needs to come up just a little bit. That'll be something that varies if your machine is on carpet, if it's on hardwood. Different things like that will make a difference. And you may find that you set it up and after it settles, you may need to make an adjustment again. So just check that. If you see that your machine starts drifting, go ahead and level it out again just to make your life easier. All right, let's start with feet. When I'm doing ruler work, I'm just going to press down right here. I'm going to show you real quick. This level right there, coming right to this edge, this is my ruler deck. Okay, I have a plastic acrylic lift. I'm going to grab something so you can see what it looks like. You should have this for yourself. If you have a long arm, you need some type of plate that goes onto your machine. This one actually sits right onto my machine, and the machine fits right in here, and it makes this area totally level. And that's important because if the ruler has nowhere to rest flush like this, then the ruler is going to be waffling around, and that becomes a big safety hazard. So make sure that you have this. Many manufacturers make those for different machines. So if you have one from your manufacturer, you should use that. And if not, Sew Steady does have some ruler bases available for certain machines. There are different limitations that affect whether we can provide that or not, but we do have those for several different machines. So make sure that you're using that when you're doing ruler work on your long arm. Very, very important. Here's the next piece, right? Feet. I'll just show you mine. I have two. This right here is the ruler foot. This is the foot that came with my actual machine. Notice that it's a 1/2 inch circle, which is exactly what we want to use for ruler work. That's the right measure. However, the sidewall on this original foot is actually very shallow, which means that if my ruler is against it, I don't have as much support for the ruler as I would if I use the new Surefoot or the new ruler foot for my style of machine. So I'm going to show you the difference between the two. Right? One of them has a much, much taller sidewall. This is the ruler foot or the Surefoot. It depends on what machine that you're using, but it's still the same 1/2 inch, but the sidewall is quite a bit taller. I really like this. When I first got mine, I had been using this for many years, and I was like, oh, I don't need that. You know, I'm fine. I got what I need. And I had to use this because of my work. You know, we're showing this and we're showing how great it is. And I used it and I was like, oh my God, it is so great. So definitely use this one. If you don't have it. It's not that expensive, but I think the security that it provides is a really big difference between this foot and this foot. So I want this one. And the truth is that I don't really switch mine back and forth. I just use this one because I feel like it's switching between the rulers and free motion. I can do it with this just fine. It's a little less visibility in terms of free motion, but I can still look in to the foot like that, and I can look in through that little opening either way. Okay, so definitely worthwhile to use if you don't already have that. The way that it works, let's see if we can get in just a little tighter right there so you could see. And I'm going to put it on. Obviously, this is the screw right here for my foot. A lot of people don't know that this bar on many of our machines will actually lift up, that if I pull on it hard, I can actually lift up. And let's see, I'll have to loosen this a little bit. My screw's a little bit tight. Okay, so lift that up and get that seated right in there. There you go. So I'm holding it now with my finger to ensure it's all the way up. See that? If I lower it, then it's going to fall down. I want to hold it all the way up and then tighten it into position. Make sure that it's secure. I'm going to put a little tightening pressure. You know, I'm not ratcheting it for all it's worth, but I don't want this coming apart. I do want it to be secure. So in the past, the last long arm session that we did the feathers for the log cabin. So I'm going to scoot out a little bit so you can see the block. And this is a simple square and a square block that we're going to be working on today. We're using the same thread that we used before, which is the Isocord 40 weight. And I'm still threaded up, and I've got that same pre-wound bobbin by Wonderfill, which is a Deco Bob 80 weight in the bobbin. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about our path real quick, and I'll show you the templates that we're going to use. What I thought is I'm actually going to mark through the center here and through the center here so I have a good visual, and I'm actually going to square out a little rectangle for my little Sew Steady moniker. I'm not going to sew through it because I think that this would be great for Spinifex. If this was open, I would just put a center motif right here. But with all of that lettering, I think it's going to look a little bit odd. So I'm going to actually box it out, and I'm going to put a little Curly Q design on this side and a Curly Q design on this side. And then in these blue boxes, we're going to do a curved cross-hatching design. And then we'll just do some of the outer quilting with the straight edge just to show you some of that. Okay. All right, so let's make sure that we can see well enough and also give me a little room. So I'm just going to come back just a little bit so I can get in there. And please realize that, you know, sometimes my hand or my shoulder might be in the way. I'll try to stay out of your way, but it is a little bit challenging to do that and still hold on to my long arm. So hope you'll be patient with me. All right, and all you moms out there, I'm going to give you a great big shout out because definitely a hard job. And this is a day to celebrate you and all of your efforts. So thank you so much for being there. We can't have a great society if we don't have great moms. Okay, let's get going. So when I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark the center line here and the center line here. And that's going to help me have a straight line in order to box out this area like that. Once I box it out, then I'm going to go ahead and sew all the way around. And that's the most continuous path that I can do for that part of it. So let's go ahead and we'll do that. We'll mark that up so you can see it. So I've got my Sew Biz ruler, which is from our awesome educator, Donnell McAdams. So I'm going to use this. And I'm going to mark right through the center, both directions like that. So I'm lining the edge up here on this blue and on the top as best I can to get a nice straight marking. Okay, and this is my air erase marker, right? This is available from Dritz and it comes off pretty quickly. It'll stay on at least for a few hours. Some people that live in different climates, they may find that it quickly goes away. You'll just have to play with that and see what works best for you. I'm going to line it also up right here on the line that I made So I have a nice squared up mark right there. And I'm going to make one more mark. I want to have just a little bit of space down below my Sew Steady lettering. And I'm going to kind of line this up so it's squared up here. And it's going to make a nice straight line below that lettering. Right? I don't want to have to guess later, so I'm just going to go ahead and make an alignment right now. So same thing on the top. I'm leaving just barely a 1/4 inch above and below. Okay. Make sure that I have a nice line. This one kind of went crazy, but I'm good with it. Fortunately, my ruler will straighten it out. So let's come across this way. We'll go across, come to the corner, come up to the top, and then we're going to go down and around all the way. And then when we get back to here, then we'll go around this way and we'll close out all of that design. I think that this is important. It shows you how we use our straight ruler, number one, which is the most basic of any of the rulers and so very important to learn. Because we're going to cross over that, I'm going to go ahead and stitch over that area right there in order to close it. So I don't need a lot of tacking stitches right now. So let's put this up. I do have my ruler handle, so I'll be using that and putting my fingers across that. And I'm going to use my spacing gauge right there in order to line that up. Okay. All right, so just as I would, this space right here is that 1/4 inch. That's the distance that the ruler should be away from everything. I can't quite get it all the way, so I'll just go ahead. So right there, it just popped a little bit onto my foot. So I'm going to just be careful right there. That's the wrong ruler. I think this might be my skinnier one. I need a fatter one. This is my high shank. So you could see right away, we don't want to be using this one. We need our fatter one. Let me grab it real quick. I think it is in my kit box. They look the same, but they're not the same, right? So that was a pretty good opportunity to really show you how important it is to use the correct thickness. I'm going to put both of them up so you could see. See, even I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. So look right here. Okay. They're different thicknesses. This one, if we laid them right together, one is definitely thicker than the other. So this is the long arm one, and that's how come that ruler was popping up on top of this one, because this is high shank, making sure that we are using the proper template whenever we're working with our long arm. We definitely want that long arm ruler, not a high shank when we're working with this machine. You can see the difference, how smooth it is there. If I see that my opening is maybe getting a little bit wide, maybe I'll adjust my template just a little bit so I can get a nice smooth line. So I'm stopping right at the edge, line it up again with our spacing gauge and get right to the corner. Okay. I can just put the ruler back here if I want to, make sure it's under the screw, and just use your spacing gauge again. And we'll get right to our purple mark. So I'm holding the ruler forward right here with my hand. I'm pulling it against the foot, and with the handle, I am pushing the foot against the ruler. So there's a little bit of this going on when I'm working with rulers with my long arm. I've got to actually create pressure both directions so that they'll work together. So again, let's put that next row in. I'll line that right up, and I think I'm in the right spot. Pretty good. I think it was a little bit, this line is a little bit crazy, so. Okay, I'm right to the edge of the pink, and now I can just start moving around this pink box right there. Here I can work on this side, or I can work on the back side, whatever is easier. For you guys, this would probably be easier for you to see if I hold on this side. So I'm activating my handle right here, and I want to pull towards me. That's going to cover that area so that we have the stitching closed off right there, and then shift this down. There's a little white line right through the center, and if I want to, I can line that up right on this seam between the two colors, and then I can use that as a straight reference guide as well. Okay, so I'm going to actually take one stitch over, and then we'll get this lined up. So I want to get it lined right up here with this other one, so we go right through the same stitching line. So right there, I'm going to slow down, just make sure that I'm right on the existing stitch line right there. And I'll come right to the corner. All right, so where I'm at now, let me show you. I kind of am a little bit on the edge of the camera view. Okay. Now, I want to go ahead and stitch this right here and go around this. We're right at the corner. Rather than try to travel some other way, maybe that I don't need to, I could go ahead and do this side and come back. But I still need to finish out this pink. So you're always thinking about what's the path that I need to do that's most efficient. There's a little bit of stitching over here, right on this side, and a little bit on the back as well for this part that we've already sewn. But it's only about this much. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the entire pink, and then we'll do the whole rest of that blue area. So I'm just checking, make sure I'm in the existing stitch line. I want to try to travel right on the line as best I can. And I'm keeping that pressure right here so that we're right to the corner, and then just adjust this on this side. If you need your spacing gauge, you can always use that. That's always a big helper. Okay, and then we'll just scoot right to the corner. Try to get right in the existing stitch line right there. Okay, and now we'll just keep going. Right here, spacing gauge, and I think I can easily get all the way to the corner there. We can cut these threads now. I think that they're stitched in enough, and that'll get those out of our way. Okay, so again, right down here, we can keep coming all the way down. Here I'll talk about whether we have a ruler that is long enough. Sometimes people want a longer ruler, and I will say it's not that you can't have that, it's just you have to understand what's your benefit. If the ruler is longer, can I actually hold it with my hand? I may not be able to. I may not be able to control much more than what I already can hold on to with my hand. So here I want pressure near the foot, and this will get me all the way to the center. Right there, closing right with my existing design. And then I'll shift the whole thing down and get this bottom piece. Okay, I'm right at the corner. And hopefully you guys can see that as well. And then we'll just go around the back side. Typically when I'm using the ruler, I always want to have my left hand on it. That's most common for me, most convenient. And then for some people, you know, if you're right-handed or left-handed, you can make the choice on which hand that you want to do. But I feel most stable when I'm on with my left hand, and I'm a right-handed user. I do sometimes put the ruler on the far side if I need to be out of the way of the stitch field, but other than that, I want to try to use it mostly on this right hand. I feel like I have the best control on that side. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll get lined up. I'm getting right to that center position right there in the middle, and then we'll line it up again. So right there, I'm just going to move my finger out of the way so I'm not getting bit right here with this guy. And then we'll line this up right to there. So right here, notice there's not a lot of forward pressure. My hand's way over here. So when I could feel that the ruler was kind of pushing back a little bit, I tried to be careful not to push too much backwards. Ideally, you'd want to move your hand up in that situation. Okay, so we're finished doing all of the ditch work right here, and we kind of got this area done. What I think I might do later is maybe just put a little bit of quilting on the corner, just little triangles and little triangles. That'll help to just make sure there's a little bit more quilting in this area, and maybe also a line right in between the lettering right there. We're just highlighting the lettering, and it's not a big deal. So let's work on the cross hatching first, because we're in the perfect place to work on the cross hatching. So I'm going to adjust my camera just slightly so that we'll be on the back blue triangles. And let me just make some adjustment here. I'm going to get us in just a little bit closer.
So I'm not sure if I heard you. Norma asked, what color thread are you using?
Norma, this thread is kind of a light blue color. Let me see if I can grab a little piece. This is a piece I just cut off. So it's a faint blue, like a light baby blue, okay? And I like it because it actually blends in well with these colors. It doesn't show too much, but it still shows, even on the pink and even on the blue. It shows a bit more on the orange, but I think it's still a complementary color for that, so I think it's going to work out well. All right, the first template that we're going to use for this cross hatching is our 6-inch arc. So I'll pull this up. And I want to just compare this to another template really quick. So in a lot of our starter sets, we have the 12-inch arc, and I'm just going to put these kind of together visually. Notice that you're going to get a lot deeper curvature with the 6-inch arc. These are both about the same dimensions in terms of the length, not quite, but close. But the 12-inch arc is going to be much flatter, and the 6-inch arc is going to be much deeper in the curvature. That's just something to think about when you're working with cross-hatching. You know, how deep do you want it? Over a longer span, I think it's better to have this flatter curve. That curvature will still show. But when you're working with a much smaller piece, I like to have a little deeper curve so that the curve is accentuated. So those are just some choices that you can make. And I'm going to show you one more thing that I want to do. Let's see if I can measure this real quick. We'll use the 1. So this is at 4 3/4 to the middle. So let me do some quick math. So 2 1/4 and 1/8. Okay, so we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's about that, give or take. I'm just going to put a little tick mark. You'll see why we're doing this in just a second. I think we need it about right there. So I'm just going to sort of check the measure. Oh, it's close enough. I think it's good enough. I would want to maybe mark this a little bit more. Let me see if we can get a little square real quick. So we said 4 3/4, and half of that is 2 1/4, and so 3/8. So let's put this on there. So 2, and then just a little bit more. So it's about right there. Okay, and then we'll do this right there. So what we're trying to do, I think that's a little bit long. Maybe right there. It's a little bit long. Right there. I should have kept my mark at the first one, right there. So what we're trying to do is have a center line that we can put our ruler on, like this, because this has a center line right there. So we'll just kind of push it up, and it should give us the 1/4 inch right here. And pretty much that's what we have. It lines up pretty good as far as I can tell. Right there is my 1/4 inch. So this is an example of when we have to hold along the back right here. If I were to hold right here, this is the stitch field and will be in the way. So I've got to make sure that we're on the back side, and I'm keeping the ruler in good contact right there and getting me right to my corner. So it worked out pretty good. And then same thing here, I want to try to use that same straight line. I think this line might be slightly off. That's okay, we'll just make the adjustment. All right, so I'm touching, and I'm just going to stay parallel to this line at this point. Okay, that'll get me right to the corner right there. And now I have the start of my crosshatch. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to crosshatch this inner part right here, and then we'll just put an echo on the outside. In order to move up to the next part, I've got to advance on this travel line right in the center there. So right here, I'll line this up on my 1/4 inch, and I'm just going to go up a little bit so I can move the ruler up at least that much. So this is the 1/4 inch difference between those two arcs. And I can line this up right there, right on the existing stitch line. I've got one space on the ruler, and then we're on this line, and that should be giving us a 1/4 inch between the two lines. So I'm going to touch right here, and now I'm going to move up just a little bit. You'll see why in just a second. What I'm looking for is the same 1/4 inch back here, right? Let's see if we can get in a little closer so you can see better. I'm going to adjust my camera just a little bit. Okay, here we go. All right, let me tighten that up, and you'll be able to see, I think, a little bit better. So my foot now, I've stitched back from the existing stitch line a 1/4 inch. That means that now my needle is a 1/2 inch away. So I'm going to line this up also. Try to get it right on that same reference line that we used before. And I think I maybe need like 1 or 2 more stitches. So I'm just going to let the ruler push it up a little bit. Okay, now we want to touch this first line. So I'm going to go that way and close this part of the design and come back up. Okay, and now I have a perfect 1/2 inch space and a 1/2 inch space with a little crosshatch area right there. So let's do the same thing. We're going to move up a little bit. We want a 1/4 inch between the existing foot and the stitch line. So we're looking in order to be able to put this ruler on that 1/2 inch mark. So there it is. So I'm going to actually go back and make sure my foot's touching. And you'll be able to see the transfer on this. We're going to come up to the existing stitch line. That's this line right here. And we're actually going to scoot up so that we have that 1/4 inch. Okay, I'll show you right here with the spacing gauge. That is a 1/4 inch away from this line. Now, when I move the ruler onto this side, I can line it up right on the line. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll go close the bottom first, and then we'll come back up to the top. Okay, now we're in the existing stitch line. We've done our crosshatch right there. We can travel right down to this corner, and if we want to put an echo in at that time, we can do it, or we can just come to this corner and we'll do the crosshatch on this closer corner. So I'm going to come out a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the corner that's in front, and we'll do that one as well. We'll do that one more time just to help make sure everybody got that. All right, I'm going to clean off my work area. I don't want to leave any tools in my sewing space. They can become a hassle later on or become a problem. So let's go ahead and we'll stitch down to the corner. And let's see, let's go ahead and mark before we get all the way there. I think we said, oh, this one is complicated. It doesn't have the right markings. I need this one. I just about tripped and killed myself on a cord, but I'm good. So let's just scoot this one in until he touches, and we want basically the same markings on both sides. So we said 2 3/8, and that's about right there. Those little lines just kind of help us line up the ruler as we go and help keep the crosshatch a little bit straighter. Okay, so So I'm right at the corner. And just like we said, just like we did on the other one, we'll line this up and we're going to make this curvature right here and then here, and we'll use this as the travel line on the inside. Okay, so push it up until you've got that 1/4 inch right there, and I'm actually right on the line there and a little bit tight. I'm going to just scoot over 1 or 2 stitches right there so I don't cut into my center square. Okay, and then we'll do this side. Pushing that up, looking to get my 1/4 inch. If I need to make a little adjustment, I can, just to make sure I've got the right fit right there. Let's see, let's make sure you guys can see. Let's come down a little bit. Edwina, do you have the 6-inch from the multi-arc template? Because you must have the really large multi-arc if you have the 6-inch. This is the mini multi-arc, the regular one. And the biggest size on the mini is the 4-inch. If you have the full size, let me grab mine and we'll show you the difference between those two. So Edwina has a good point. So this is the full size mini arc. It's not a mini arc, it's a multi-arc. This is the full size one. And if I put my 6-inch on there, look it's exactly the same. So that's a really good point, Edwina. You definitely can use that. This one's quite a bit bigger, so there's more to hold on to, but you could definitely do that. You know, you're basically lining it up the same, essentially on that center point, and it should give you the same arc as it would with this 6-inch arc. It's just that this one's just a little bit smaller, a little bit more hand size. So definitely use what you have, whatever you feel is best suited for you. I think that's a good idea. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll measure with our little spacing gauge. So this template that I'm using right now, this is one that is in the Flower Power set, which is put together by Ann Moore. The templates are created by Leonie West, but just the grouping of them and their use has been put together by Ann Moore. So right where we're at right now, remember we're going to put the echoes in here. So we're going to scoot along this line in order to put the rest of that crosshatch in there. Okay, so we'll scoot up until we have, I'm just going to take that off. That one was in my travel bag and I think it got banged around a little bit. So make sure you have pressure where the foot is. We'll just travel up just a little bit. We're trying to have a 1/4 inch between the edge of the foot right there and the edge of the stitching line. So I think I need maybe like 2 more stitches right there. Here's the spacing that you're looking for, just for your visual. We want a 1/4 inch between the stitch line here and the edge of the foot. Then when I put this ruler on there and I line it up on the straight line, then I have the foot touching and I have this perfect spacing right there. If you stitched a little bit too far, you can just pull back, make sure that your foot's touching. So we're going to sew until our line closes. Right now the foot is touching the arc on that side that we've already sewn. Now using the ruler, I'm going to stitch back until I have that visual 1/4 inch. Let's put this on here just so you can see right there the distance from the existing curve on this side and the foot is now a 1/4 inch. Then I can put this on this side, line it right up, get it all nice and neat, and now I can sew the arc this way. I'm going to close it to the front and then sew back to the travel line. Okay, and now you can see I got this cute little crosshatch right here and these pretty echoes, and I'll do one more because I think we did one more on the other side as well. So we'll come up until we have that 1/4 inch spacer, okay? And then we'll line this up, touch, and we have to come back a 1/4 inch away from this arc, not this one now, because we're doing the next arc up in the line. So I've got this aligned right on the reference line. This line right here, this first line, that's a 1/4 inch. and then the foot itself is adding another 1/4 inch. Okay, so let's make sure we have some good lighting here. Is this light on? There we go. I think that's a little bit better lighting for you guys right there. All right, so let's put this on. We'll line it right up. It's on the existing stitch line, and we'll go forward to close the arc, and then we're going to come this way. Okay, so you can see we got this cute little crosshatch right there, and then we got a little openness right here. We could travel down, and we'll do this one, and then we'll travel to the next one and do the next corner. So all of those crosshatches would be able to be finished in basically one pass. And in fact, then if we want to put the echo in, we can still do that again. We can finish all the cross hatching and we'd be on a corner, and then we can put the echoes in and go all the way around. So let's just go down to the corner and we'll put the echoes in so you could see that. We got some thread hanging out here. So I'll show you on this side. Visibility is better when the ruler's on the back, but I'm more comfortable holding it on the front. So you have to decide what works better for you. In this instance, I could barely see over this because I can't get on that side because of the camera. But you know, that's just some choices that you have. You can hold whichever way is more comfortable for you. One of the things that I will mention is that when you do curve cross hatching like this, you're going to have some overstitching in different areas because this is our travel line. We've stitched over this line a few times, and that's pretty common. As we put this part in here with this little echo, I'm going to scoot out and I'm going to show you another way that you can use the spacing gauge in order to space the design. We can also use this arc on the back side like that, which is a huge benefit to having this have the arc on both sides. Anytime you're using one of these Westalee arc templates, this inner arc right here is the same as this outer arc. It doesn't look like it because the foot here is on the outside of the template, sewing further out of the design, whereas the arc on this side is sewing to the inside. So these two look different because the cuts are a 1/2 inch difference in order for the arcs to be the same. Okay, so let's go ahead. And what do you think? Do you guys want a 1/4 inch arc or do you want a 1/2 inch arc? You guys can let me know. We want some participation here, audience participation. Honey is here with me today. He's helping out. So if you have some questions, you can definitely send those and he'll relay those to me.
So Donna asked, is it just a design option that you're not going all the way over to the pink?
Let's see that I'm not going, so right here that I'm not going to the pink, yes, design choice, because we're going to put the echo right in here. Absolutely. We're just going to put sort of a little bulk frame right there, which will sort of split that up and create a little fat frame around our cross hatching. And then if we wanted to free motion, that also creates a little space that is open and you could free motion down towards this part. Totally a design decision. You could make your cross hatch go all the way to the edge, no problem. Okay, so I think the 1/4 inch wins by far. Okay, good. Well, that's perfect. In order to do it, we're at the end of this arc, so we have to sew over just a slight bit in order to be able to line up the ruler. So we'll just, from the edge here, we'll just sew over a little bit till the foot is touching the arc right back here. And I can check that by putting the template right on there, right? And then this foot should be touching, right? Let's make sure we are. And now we can go ahead and put that echo right in. So we're right in the boundary there. And if I wanted to put that little frame, let's get you in closer so you can see the frame that we made, right? So now we have that little open space right there. And we have the crosshatch. And we could put more, like I think right here, I think I would want to come back and crosshatch one more line. Do you see how that is open like that? I think I want to bring my crosshatch up a little bit more. So we didn't do that. I didn't think to do that. But I mean, I think looking at it now, I would want that. And then we have to go around the corner and position for the 1/4 inch echo on the other corner. So let's go ahead and we'll do that. Get you in a little so you could see better on that corner. And we'll come out just a little bit. There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll go around the corner. So again, the foot has to touch the arc. So as we travel up, we're looking for the foot to touch that arc. Right there, this arc, the foot should be touching it. Then when we line this up like this, right on the existing stitch line, we should have our foot touching right there. So this one is a slight bit wonky. So I'm going to come out to it just a little bit. And then right here in the center, I'm going to stop for a second and just tip it just a little bit so I have a nice curve to follow on the downslope. Okay. So what do you think? Do you like that? We got that cute little arc. And then here, there's room. If we wanted to put some free motion in here, we could do that. And again, I think I would go ahead and put at least one, probably two more arcs here to fill in this crosshatch. I don't like that this is kind of open right here. I definitely would want to put an additional line in there and finish some crosshatching there in that center position. So we're at this corner right here, and what I thought we would do is let's put some curly Qs in here, and we'll start right from this corner. So we're in a good position to go ahead and do that. All right, so let's get the curly Q out and let's talk about it a minute. The curly Qs are really, really fun. And I kind of like most of them because they're easy to use. They have a larger opening right there, which makes it easy to take them on and off of a long arm or on a domestic. So you can just slide them on and off and adjust them. But because this opening is right on one side, we always want the foot to travel on this back side. We want the pressure here, not on this side. Okay? Was there a question, babe?
No, just adjusting the camera, and you're in the process of it.
Okay, yeah. So we'll...
Showing the
Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll get ourselves right there. Okay, so we're working on this area and we have the center line right there. And when we put the curly Q on, what we're going to try to do is do sort of a mirror image design, okay? So we're going to make a little bit of a heart kind of a thing with the curly Q. The concept will be that we'll have one curly Q aligned so that this is touching right there and filling in this space. And then we're just going to fan out, and however many we can fit, that's how many will fit. And then we'll match it on the other side to create sort of a little flourishing heart design. So that particular one, these right here, I think are a little bit longer than I want for the space. So let's see what else we can find. So here, this one has a little bit of a smaller opening. So I'm just going to get that inside. And then let's see. I think that's probably okay. Let me see. I have one more package with some different sizes that I think we just need a little bit more. That's 6.5, so I think we need the 7. So I have 2 curly Q sets, and they're different sizes. And that just gives me more choices, you know, to play with. I can make different choices based on the length. There's different sizes, and that's how long from this to this, right? So having 2 sets basically gives me from like 2 inches up to 11.5 inches. So lots of good options there. All right, so let's go ahead and take this one off. I'm going to lift up the foot for this one because his little opening is really, really narrow compared to this one. Some of them have a little bit of a narrower opening like that. So if it's big, it's pretty easy to use. I don't have to pick up the needle. But on the long arm, if I have a narrower opening, I will have to pick up that needle. So here, the foot is the start, and if I want them to touch, I basically need that 1/4 inch right there. So I'm using the top right here opening, touching the stitch line that we made, and then right here, I want a 1/4 inch. So my little curly Q should fill in that space as best as it can. So I'll just creep my fingers up, make sure I have good pressure, right? And just go back around. And I can even start right there in the middle if I want to. There's actually a center line right on the curly Q that I can use as the needle alignment. And then we can take this off and flip him over. Again, lining up that same center line and the top right here. And then we want to get back a 1/4 inch away right there. Okay. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to close the curly Q on this side, and we'll go this way. You would need to make sure that you have your needle, your template, have the stable tape grip on both sides. right? So now I'm going to hold this and I'm going to come back up to that center position, about right there. And I can adjust this, but this is a good planning factor. And then if I want to, I can do the same thing. I can just move this over and I can align on the 1/4 inch right there. And now I'll just close the curly Q part a little bit. So I do have to adjust my hand position here because this is a little bit longer, right? So get into the center and then come back up. And then I don't have any top pressure, so I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust my hand right there. Again, I'm right at that center and I'm just gonna pull this out and see if I can get it adjusted. And I think it's actually gonna be a really good fit. It's almost perfect right here in terms of the 1/4 inch. Now, I didn't know that was gonna happen, and I wouldn't have cared if it didn't happen, but I'm glad that it does fit nicely. Okay, so come all the way back down. And then I'm just gonna take this off so you can see. So we got kind of a cute little wonky heart right here in the center. And now we have these little hearts right here. Because this touched the opening right here, it's automatically spacing each one of these at a 1/4 inch away from this line. So they're perfectly spaced to the top, and then they've got a cute little look to them. Now we can start going ahead and flipping it over, and we'll do the other side. So we want to touch it on the top, and we want these to hit exactly the same as the other one. So right at that center position, we're looking for that 1/4 inch right there. And that'll be how we'll hold it. That'll give us the same look on this side as we did on the other side, right? So put your curly Q all the way in, then you're gonna come back around right to the center line that's on the curly Q, and then just pivot and push it up so he's touching up here, and then check your 1/4 inch down here at the base. Okay, so again, finish your curly Q, coming out a little bit, and then coming back. And I'm gonna have to come back up to that center position up there, right there, and we'll do the last one. And if he doesn't fit, which I think maybe this is printed maybe inaccurately, I don't care. I'm just gonna go with it. And what we'll do is we'll finish out the curly Q here a little bit, and we'll just put this one in as best we can. And then if I need to, I can just come straight down, and we'll do it like this. We can't quite fit him in, so we'll just go like that. And then if I want to, I can put the little swoop in there. And if I don't want to, or I don't care, that's fine too. I don't have to. Okay, so it looks good. I don't know why there's a big difference in space. It could be my marking is off, or it could be that the printing, because this is a pre-printed panel, is a little bit off. So maybe if I had that off of the frame, I would want to check that and just check my measurements across there. But I'm going to bring you in just a little bit closer so you could see the design, because I think it looks awesome. It's so cute. And you can do any kind of little heart flourishes with your curly Qs like that. So let's go ahead and just get you in a little closer. What do you think? Do you think that's cute? I love it, especially on this side. Look at it. So that center one kind of looks like a heart. And we do have some space in here. You could put a little baby heart in here with your curly Qs, or you can just put some little feathering in the center like that if you wanted to, or just leave it. I think that's enough quilting to keep that design in place. You know, I don't think that we need necessarily any more. And then the last thing that I would do is I think I would go ahead and echo around there. Maybe even just put the triangles right on the edges in order to put a little bit more quilting in that space. So let's see if we've got some questions real quick.
So Donna asks, she sees that there's 3 different curly Q sets. If you were just to pick one, do you know which one would be the best, or do you have any thoughts on?
Donna, that's a good question. I'm going to put the paperwork up so you can see the difference. I don't see 3. I'll go back and double check and make sure I'm not lying to you, but I think there's only 2.
Watering the garden.
Okay. My daughter's watering, and I can hear the sound of the water now inside the house. Hopefully you can't hear it either. All right, so here's my paperwork. Okay, so this is the Curly Q set number 2, and notice that these are even numbers, right? 2.5, 4.5, 6.5, 8, 10. And then the 11.5, I love this one because it's big. I'll show it to you if I can find it. I don't know if I had it out for a different project, but the circlet for the 11.5 wide, it's much bigger. Like this part of it, let's come out to regular size so you can see the basics, right? These are proportional. All of the little circlets of the Curly Q are proportionate. They're about 1 inch and they grade in size. Well, the 11.5 wide, the Curly Q is like half again as big. It's much, much larger than this. So it's just the only one that has that extra large size. Here's the proportion that you can see on there. This is the 11.5 wide, so you can see how much bigger it is than all of the rest of them, right? So then the other one, that's set number 2. Set number 1 is the odd numbers, right? So 1.5, 3.5, all of these odd numbers, and this 11.5 is just normal and proportional, just like the other ones, right? So that's just a choice for you. I don't think that one is better than the other, and I don't think that if it's 8 and I have 8.5, well, I could use a 9.5 to make that 8 if I needed to. I can just abbreviate where the end point of it is. But those are just choices. If you work predominantly with, odd number blocks or even number blocks, an 8.5 is designed to fit in a 9-inch block. So the even numbers are more proportionally fitted to the next number up. So like a 5-inch, a 7-inch, a 9-inch, whereas the odd numbers are going to be fitting proportionally for even sized blocks. So that would be just something that you can know for the future. So I don't have a lot of extra designs for today. So right here, we're going to use the same rope design that we did when we did the log cabin. So I'm not going to be doing a different design. I'll just go ahead and tack this off and I'll show you the rope just so you can see it. And the rope that I'm using is a 1.5-inch rope, and it fits very tightly in this existing space. You can see, I'll kind of scoot back and let you see the one on the back there. So my goal with this long arm process is we're going to be doing one of the blocks. There's 4 different blocks on this pre-printed panel, and we're going to do 1 block per session. So right there is my log cabin on the back, and that is available as another video, and that was feathers. And then right there you can see the rope. So hopefully you can see it just a little bit there. I know it's kind of hard to see it because it's far away. We'll try to key in on that so it'll focus on the rope there. And I'm going to use that same rope here and the same arcs to go around. So I'm not going to try to put a different element in every single sashing, because otherwise what you're getting is too much differentiation. You're not getting anything that provides unity. So my rope sashing is going to help provide the unity for that design and get this look throughout the whole space. And then the same for these little arcs in the yellow. Okay, so Donna's question. The 3rd set I was seeing was marked as a Spinifex, where the other 2... so the Curly Qs are a Spinifex. They're all noted as Spinifexes, right? So I don't know what other set. I'll look, Donna, and I'll see if I can find any other information. But notice that these are all Spinifex. Spinifex 1 set, and then the Spinifex Curly Q 2 set. So I'll go back into the catalog and see if I can see what you're saying, but I'm not sure. All right, so I won't keep you guys. It's Mother's Day. I want you to go play and relax and, get your nails done, get a pedicure, and plant flowers and have a great day. Go out in the sunshine. God bless all the moms out there. Thank you for all that you do. I know that our society depends on moms so much. And of course, dads. Moms cannot be moms without dads, so we bless our daddies too.
Just not today.
Have a great day, you guys. Happy Mother's Day and happy quilting. Have a good day.